Welcome back to the Fantasy Tippler. It's been an interesting week. A lot of trades flying around. A lot of panicking on the amount of injuries that are happening. So let's get to it. Had some interesting trades come my way. I managed to pick up George Kittle, and I traded away like a bench running back, and I think it was Latavius Murray actually, and smash accept. Some people just don't understand how injuries work, so now I have too many tight ends. I have Johnny Smith. I now have George Kittle, and I had the Cowboys Dalton to backup, and so those guys I'm really trying to trade off. I'm probably going to hold on to Smith in case Kittle continues to get hurt. Let me change this out real quick. Sorry. And what's another one that just happened? I had a lot of I had Christian McCaffrey go down. I have Cam Akers, who's on my bench, but he still went down. So I didn't really have any other running back except James Conner, who's a huge risk. So an offer came my way for Tyler Boyd for Mark Ingram, and that was a smash accept for me. So lots of really crazy things going on. Welcome to fantasy football. This is why we do it. So cheers to all you tipplers out there having fun and drinking away to fantasy football pain. So, good stuff. In the glass today, in my little drink can, I have something I picked up recently. Tasted it, and it was really a lot better than I expected. Which is Clyde Mays straight wine whiskey at 94 proof, and it was really good. It's non-chill filtered, which is really important to me, so I can get all that bacon grease I like in a bourbon. Well, technically it's not a bourbon, it's rye whiskey. So really good stuff all around. Really good sipping rye. Now that it's getting colder, I'm starting to enjoy the rye a little bit more. All right, so what do we have? I wanted to share some early thoughts before we get to the Tippler Blitz on just kind of my mindset with some stuff. The first is don't be afraid to blow up your bench in order to prepare for the next couple of weeks. And that's what I've been doing. I realized that I drafted poorly in a couple of my leagues and didn't listen to my own advice. One of them, which I'll talk about before, was I drafted Drew Brees because I ran out of time and I wasn't like the three picked before me were sniped, and I all of a sudden didn't have anybody, and it was the 6th round I just grabbed Drew Brees because I ran out of time and I couldn't decide who I wanted, and I heavily regretted that. A, because I could have gotten him later. B, Josh Allen was sitting there. I mean, he was way further up my ranking, and it's just, these things happen. So I traded away Adam Thielen for Big Ben, and I feel good about that until I saw that Ryan Tannehill and Gardner Minshew was just sitting on the bench on the waiver wire. So I'm just not doing good right now. So I don't mind blowing up your bench and trying to fix what you have. That's what a lot of the trades were this week. I gave away key wide receivers in order to get some running backs, because running backs are so scarce. And there are some people that are just loaded on running backs. In one of my leagues, I have one wide receiver on my bench. That's DJ Shark. And the rest are all running backs. Like, I even got rid of Breeze for Antonio Gibson. I was like, well, I have to accept that. So, anyways, so let's talk about some of the stuff that's been kind of going on in the back of my mind, stuff that I'm changing. Todd Gurley, he's the running back one in one of my leagues that I co-manage. And I've already spoken to the other managers how concerned I am of what I'm seeing. He said, like, oh, just have one back week. And I'm like, that's not what I'm worried about. I'm worried about when I watched that game, that's not the Todd Gurley that even I saw last year. And on top of that, they're not even really using him. Like, so if he doesn't get into the end zone, then what, like, there's no passing game for him. He gets the yardage, but that's not enough. So he's becoming an RB2, RB3 fast. And I'm looking at his schedule. I'm making effort to replace him on my team. If I either I can trade him away, or I can just bring in somebody else and he just becomes my backup running back in case of emergency. I'm not even worried about him getting injured anymore. In fact, I had Brian Hill in a lot of my leagues, just in case Todd Gurley went down. They're not even using Todd Gurley. They spent a lot of money on to bring in for one season. So Brian Hill is now worthless to me. So he's getting dropped. Sorry, my dog is moving around below my desk. Apologize for that. And it's just something I'm moving on for. So on top of that, so third down backs. A lot of people got hot and heavy for third down backs like in the draft, like in the first couple of weeks. And I'm not. I've always been, with the exception of Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt is the outlier. Latavius Murray last year was the outlier. Not this year. Latavius Murray is on the bubble. He may get dropped in a couple of these or traded away. But Nyheim Hines, do not start him this week. Bench him. I wouldn't drop him because if something were to happen to Jonathan Taylor, he would just be, he'd be a great plug and play that week. But he's on the bubble. Chris Thompson down in Jacksonville, he's a bench, but I did drop him in a lot of leagues to make room for the one league that I had too many running back, and it was a keeper league, and I managed to grab Julio Jones and Michael Thomas, and yeah, I need wide receivers now, not running back. So unfortunately, Chris Thompson we moved on from him. So those third down back, I'm just not big on it. It puts a sick feeling in my stomach, like when you drink vodka or something like that. Like I just don't. I don't. If I have to put them on my bench, I did something wrong. Now I'm not perfect. I draft on tilt sometimes, and I end up grabbing them. But now I'm off of those guys. So, and then handcuffs. Benny Snell, most talked about guy this week. God, I'm not liking what I see, the reports I see, but he's just obvious slash bench. Do not start him. A lot of people are dropping him. I'm okay with that. I did that in a couple of my leagues. No one's going to trade for him. However, the team that I have James Conner on, I'm not dropping him yet. He's a pure handcuff for me. But if you need to make room for other players that are on the league, like, if you have a chance to grab Judge McKinnon from the 49ers, yeah, I would. I think that's how I got him. I swapped McKinnon for, I swapped Benny Snell for McKinnon. I'm quite happy with that. So, anyway, wide receivers. Let's talk about an unpopular opinion. And I'm fighting with a couple of my friends about this. If you have a stud wide receiver that doesn't pass us all week, that's very questionable, but is a go game time, bench him. Don't take the risk. Michael Thomas, Julio Jones, Devontae Adams, AJ Brown's already been ruled out. So, anybody that's like the number one receiver that you don't think it's a game time. Anytime I hear game time decision, unless it's an absolute stud. I mean, I was kind of in on Julio Jones. I was going to start him no matter what, but now I'm off of it. So if it's a game time decision, go ahead and bench him if you can. Try to get somebody else. Take another high ceiling. You'd be surprised how often you win games by just taking a risk on some high ceilings. Like Corey Davis is going to have a good game this week. So don't wait till the last minute. What if you go out, like me, you get drunk until 3 a.m., you wake up, and it comes out like an hour before the game, you slept through, and you wake up at 12:30, all of a sudden you got a person who's out starting the game. That happened on Thursday night. Like I had DJ Shark, and I got the alert. I just forgot who was on my lineup in one of my deeper leagues, and went out, was drinking with a bunch of coworkers, and I woke up Friday morning. And I was like, oh man, so I got 0 points, and that's on me for not listening to my text messages. So, go ahead and drop them out on your roster, even if they do play. Like I said, they won't be worth it. Also, kind of a trend that I've been noticing over the last 2 years or so. If your number one running back, number one wide receiver benches or is out, go ahead and fade on that quarterback as well. Drew Brees, bench. Like I said, I already traded him away because he just looks bad. And Aaron Rodgers, I'm fading away unless Devontae Adams is healthy. And I don't like Aaron Rodgers anyway. I actually think his time is over. Like, Green Bay Packers aren't taking care of him. So he should be on your waiver wire anyways, or let somebody else step on that landmine. With the exception of Matt Ryan, I'm okay with streaming just because he still has his number one receiver, Kevin Ridley. I know that hurts, but it's true. And he also has Russell Gage, who stepped up in a big way. So, also has Hayden Hurst. He's got a lot of weapons around him. Julio Jones doesn't affect him as much. However, I'm not betting on Matt Ryan in DFS format. So, yeah. So, that's all my thoughts right now. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to go through what I call the Tippler Blitz, where I'm just going to run through all the teams that are playing Sunday and Monday night, and I'm just going to do a quick start sit. And then, if you agree or disagree, please email me at the Fantasy Tippler at gmail.com, or you can reach me at Twitter, on Twitter. The Twitter handle is this_guy_drinks, also on Instagram. So, shout out at me. All right, here we go. Fantasy Tippler. Let me get a little brown juice going. I love this stuff. All right. So, first we have Chicago and Atlanta. So, Chicago, Trubisky is actually a sneaky quarterback streamer this week. I hate everything about him, but I think this is going to be kind of a high-flying game. He's going to get some points. So I don't mind streaming him, and I don't mind putting him in some DFS bets, if you will. David Montgomery is an auto start. Tariq Cohen is a bench. I don't even want him on my team anymore. Allen Robinson is a start. And then Anthony Miller is a bench. And I actually dropped him in a couple of leagues to pick up other people, just because I did not like what I saw the first 2 weeks. And he's a talented receiver. I don't know what's going on over there. So he's dropping passes he shouldn't be dropping. So Chicago defense, I know it's very good. A lot of people have it as like the permanent defense. I'm fading on them fast this week, just an FYI. Atlanta has shown, like Jacksonville, they've shown the ability to score a lot. And, when you have go up against a team, even though they always lose, but they have the ability to put up like 20-plus points, then I'm not starting that defense. On the ATL side, Atlanta, Matt Ryan still is a start for me. Julio Jones, like I said, to bench. Don't even try to give yourself that kind of stress. Calvin Ridley is an auto start. He's always on your lineup. Hayden Hurst is good to go. There's still a lot of tight ends that I have ranked above him, but he's still in my top 12. Todd Gurley, like I said, he's an RB2. But make plans for him. Watch the game. If you have Todd Gurley, try to go to a bar, order yourself a nice Buffalo Trace on a rock, and then watch the game. And you'll see what I'm talking about. Like, they don't utilize him like we thought they were going to use him. They don't grind him. They don't use him in the passing game at all, and that's a big concern for me. So, all right, moving on. LA Rams versus Buffalo Bills. Okay, so the easy ones are Woods is an auto start. Cooper is a wide receiver 2 at this point, and I'm fading fast just because he's not getting the work that I thought he was. I'm actually benching him this week and for Julio Jones. Juju Smith. Sorry. Got to take a sip of whiskey here to get my mind straight. So, yeah, Cooper Kupp is actually on my bench this week in one of my leagues just because I have better options and I drafted really well. Goff, the quarterback, I'm a bench. I've never been a fan of his. So, running back, I lean toward Dale Henderson this week. I know Malcolm Brown is good to go. Cam Akers is out. So if you have Henderson, I'm okay with plugging him in if you have an injured running back. Malcolm Brown, I'm actually plugging him in because I do have a ton of and his running backs in my dynasty league. So, and then of course there's Tyler Higbee. This is pretty much almost an auto start from now on. On the Bills side, Josh Allen, the stallion. Auto start for sure. John Brown, he's in my weekly flex play. I like him a lot. Dude is a really good borderline wide receiver one. What else we got? Delvin Singletary, who I thought was going to be, I proclaimed him to be a season bust, and I'm kind of correct about that, but because Jack Moss is out, I'm willing to stream him in the flex. No tight ends. Start at Buffalo. And if you have like a really deep lead and you need some help, my old friend Cole Beasley is always there to help you out. So, yeah. Washington Browns. Okay. Washington needs to come out with a new nickname. I don't like calling them Washington because I hate that team. Antonio Gibson. Possible flex. I'm still wanting to wait. I mean, I just picked him up in one of the leagues, but he's going to be on my bench. Terry McLaurin, I love that guy. I love everything about him. He's an auto start for me. He's a wide receiver one. A really cool streaming option from Washington is Logan Thomas. Like, I know he didn't perform well last week, but like I just like this matchup a lot. And Dwayne Haskins has a really good connection with him. So, throwing him out there, can net some pretty decent points. So, Cleveland Browns. Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb are both auto starts for me. Just because they utilize them both, and they're both going to get some points. I would put Kareem Hunt in the flex, and just in case something weird happens, but I'm good to go on all those. Baker Mayfield on the way wide, don't touch him. Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry. Jarvis Landry is the wide receiver 3 for me, even though sometimes he performs like a wide receiver 2. Odell Beckham, he gets one more week. We knew this going in. He's not like a wide receiver 1. He's just not on the right team. And but I do think he's still going to put up points. And so I have him as a wide receiver 2. And I'm still willing to plug him in. Tennessee, Minnesota, Tannehill. Great quarterback. He's a start for me. He's a streamer for me. Derrick Henry, I know he didn't really perform last week, but he's still Derrick Henry. He's an auto start. Corey Davis, I hate saying this, but he's a really good streamer for this week. But I'll be moving on from him pretty quick. So if you had a big week this week, use him to see my dog in the back. Use him to use him in a trade. Use him to fix your team. And then obviously Jonnu Smith is an auto start. It's like one of the greatest draft pieces I drafted this year because I got him in like the 11th and 12th round most of the time. On the Minnesota side, Adam Thielen is an obvious start. I'm a big fan of that guy. And then Dalvin Cook is an auto start. Nobody else on that team. I mean, some people talk about like trying to stash Jefferson. Yeah. Each to his own. I'm just not a fan of rookie receivers. Moving on. Oh, Tennessee defense was an early recommendation of mine in the beginning of the season. I'm off of that. I don't like what I see right now. If you're desperate, sure, but no, I don't want that Tennessee defense. Definitely not Minnesota defense. Derrick Henry's going to run all over them. Las Vegas Raiders. Derek Carr, streaming option. He's my quarterback 2 in my Superflex league. Had done very well for me. And so Josh Jacobs is an auto start, of course. Darren Waller is an auto start. Receiving core, none of them. I don't want, like I said, I don't like rookies. They're all rookies. I don't want any of them. No. Don't give yourself that heartburn. New England is okay. New England Cam Newton is a start because he's just going to carry this team on his back. He's going to get the yards. He's going to get the rush touchdown. He's still going to get maybe 1 or 2 passing touchdowns. Cam Newton's a start. Julian Edelman, I mean, he's a bench for me, unless you're desperate, but that's what he's there for. If you're desperate, you can play him. I mean, I'm not. I won't touch him. Nikhil Hay. I some people really like him. I don't like him. I don't like the way I don't like the way he plays. I just don't like how he looks out there on the field. He looks slow. He looks like he can't get separation. He's still getting points and he's still targeting. But man, you see the look on Cam Newton's face whenever he drops or misses a pass. He's like, I put it right in your hand. Why are you dropping it? That's what he looks like. So I don't even recommend rostering him. And if somebody really wants him, give him away for like $5. I mean, and then obviously, the running back field for New England is just a hot mess, and don't even bother. 49ers. Nobody. Nobody. So Jarrett McKinnon, yeah, I would prefer to bench him and Mike Davis. I would prefer to, the biggest waiver wire pickups of the week, him, Mike Davis, Freeman. I would try to bench him for at least 1 week to see what's going to happen. But, obviously, I'm in a position in one league where I'm going to bench Julio Jones, and I'm going to have to start Freeman because I just got him up off the waiver wire, and it's not going to make me feel good, but that's what being a fantasy football manager is all about. You got to make these calls. So the only position that I like is Derek McKinnon, and sure you can George Kittle's out, so you can put out Jordan Reed. It's like kind of a crazy play, but I just think there's so many better, safer options out there because if Jordan Reed doesn't cut 2 touchdowns, he's just going to be like a regular old Jordan Reed. And so, yeah, I'm fading on Jordan Reed. I know a lot of people went and they grabbed him as soon as they found out George Kittle was out. And go with God, I guess. All right, so New York Giants, the only person I really like is Darius Slayton. I mean, Freeman, like I said, put him out there if you are absolutely desperate, like I am in one of my leagues. But, he's kind of a wait and see for me, to be honest. So Darius Slayton is the only person I like on that team. And if you're really, really desperate, Golden Tate. He does show up in, weird performances sometimes. So, all right, Cincinnati, Philadelphia. Cincinnati, Joe Burrow. I'm not in on Joe Burrow yet, but he's performing. He's throwing a lot. So he's a streamer. You can definitely stream him if you need to. AJ Green. I'm a huge AJ Green fan. I'm actually targeting him in a bunch of trades. It's like he's just not performing. He's getting a lot of looks. He's getting a lot of targets, but he's not completing. And I think it's a connection that he hasn't found with Joe Burrow yet. So he's a bench for me. It's a definite bench until I see something. However, Tyler Boyd does have a connection. Joe Burrow in college to loved his slot receiver, Mr. Jefferson. And I'm okay putting him in my flex. I have him starting in a lot of my flexes this week. And a cool streamer this week is Drew Sample. I like the way he looked. Remember he was a second-round pick last year, and he's coming on pretty nice. So if you were a big believer in 2 tight end sets, which I was a big believer in that in the beginning of the season because you could kind of see how they fall out. If you're still desperate or you're doing something crazy like, you're streaming tight ends, which is good for you, you can definitely use him as your streamer because I think he'll just continue to get better and better. So he's a definite stash for me and a streamer if you need it. Mixon is still an auto start, Joe Mixon. This is why I didn't go after him in the draft. I just knew that something like this would happen, where he's a great running back. He's just can't get it, I mean, it's not his fault. He's just on a crappy team. So, fuck it. Sorry, Joe. Yeah, but he's still an auto start until I say otherwise. But he's moving more and more into the flex play, which is unfortunate. Philadelphia, Miles Sanders has a great opportunity to run all over Cincinnati. I would pay a lot of money in DFS to make sure I have Miles Sanders on that team because he's going to have a stud of a game. Both tight ends, Jack Ertz and Dallas Goedert, I'm willing to throw both of them in. So you have either or. You can definitely start them. And then no wide receiver except Deshaun Jackson. Deshaun Jackson maybe flex play in very, very deep leagues. It's just ugly on that team. It really is. I mean, they just can't stay healthy. There's something like they need to talk. They need to have this real serious sit down with the athletic training staff and say, hey, why our players keep getting hurt? Ooh. Yeah, I really like this. My whiskey. No. All right, Pittsburgh, Houston. Big Ben. I had to replace Big Ben. I had to replace Drew Brees with Big Ben. So he is a definite start. Connor is a go, as long as he's healthy. Like I said about Benny Snell, he's a stash for me if you have Connor, but if you need to drop him, screw it. Deontay Johnson is now an auto start for me. That guy, it's showing up. Juju Smith, he's a start, but kind of watch his, I know he's having knee problems again, like he always does, so kind of keep an eye on it. Check in an hour before the game, make sure he's good to go, but have backup options ready. Houston, I've mentioned all the players on Houston, including David Johnson. I saw what Pittsburgh did to Saquon Barkley. I'm even fading on Watson, Deshaun Watson. I don't like his receivers. I like his tight ends. He's got two good tight ends. Jordan Atkins, I talked about in the earlier episode. He just may get all the touches this week. So I don't want Will Fuller. I don't want Brandon Cooks. And then I don't want David Johnson. I think his age. I think Pittsburgh's going to just hammer him. He's not going to be able to get anything done. So don't make just because you drafted him in the 4th or 5th round doesn't mean you have to start him. You can play smart fantasy football. So bench everybody on Houston. All right, moving along. New York Jets versus Indianapolis. Nobody on the New York Jets should be on your roster. Nobody. I don't even care if it's like Le'Veon Bell. Go ahead and drop him. That team is just so bad. It's so disappointing. Indianapolis. I won't trust Phil Rivers ever again. Not that I ever did this year because I'm a smart person. Jonathan Taylor, love that guy. Auto start. T.Y. Hilton, I'm fading on him fast. He's a wide receiver 3 for me now. If I don't have any other options that I need to plug into a flex play, I'll play T.Y. Hilton. It's just, I just don't like, even though this matchup is really good, I just don't trust Phillip Rivers. Mo Alley Cox, he's a staff, deep league streamer. He's just a gigantic human being, and all you have to do is just throw it over the freaking defender's head, and he's going to snatch it. I'm not targeting him. I think there's enough depth above him. But if you're truly desperate or you're just a big Indianapolis Colts fan, you can stash him. Michael Pittman, a lot of people are talking about him. I'm rookie wide receiver. He's a stash in one of my dynasty leagues, deep stash. I'm just waiting. Wait and see thing. Panthers, Miles Davis. If you manage to get him after McCaffrey went down, you're going to play him. I would wait if you could, just to see what happens, if you had another streaming option. But him and Robbie Anderson are good flex plays. DJ Moore is an auto start, and nobody else on that team needs to be talked about. Chargers, Panthers, and Chargers. So Chargers, Joshua Kelly and I blanked out. Who's the other guy's name? So Joshua Kelly is a start for me, and I'm blanking out who the other. Austin Eckler. Wow, I couldn't read my writing. I blanked out on what the name was. Austin Eckler is always an auto start for me. Joshua Kelly is now a start for me. If you want to go crazy with Herbert as a streamer, you can. I don't have enough. That's a small sample pool, even though he went up against, Kansas City defense and held his own. That's a big nod in his direction. It's just one game I prefer to have a little bit more sample size before I recommend something like that. So, Keelan Allen, however, is a solid wide receiver too. He's off my bench. He's in my starting lineup. Hunter Henry, auto start, tight end until he hurts his little knees again. So moving on, Lions versus Arizona. I'm actually going to watch this game. So if Kenny Galladay is back, I'm still not starting him. I should have mentioned him earlier in the show. I'm fading on him and Matthew Stafford for this week. But I hope they're back so I can watch them play. I know some people drafted Matthew Stafford like I did in the later rounds. You just have to pivot now. T.J. Hawkins is a sneaky tight end stream. It's Arizona. They still haven't sorted up the tight end defense. Now, it's better than last year, but they hadn't made it perfect yet. And remember last year, that's when the week one when he went like absolutely ham. So none of the running backs in the Lions backfield I want to deal with. So that's a no on all of them. AP, Kelly on, and DJ Swift. None of them. All right, Arizona is really easy. You got basically 3 people that are auto starts. It's like DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray, Kenyon Drake, auto start. That's it. The rest of the receiving core, whatever. Tampa, Denver. This is going to be an interesting game because Denver is acting like Philadelphia Eagle. So for Denver, the only 2 people you need to start are Melvin Gordon and Noah Fant. That's it. Some people want to go crazy on Jeff Driscoll is your quarterback 2 on a super flex. You are an idiot. Tampa defense is actually a lot better this year than you think, and they're going to own the air. So Brady for Tampa, Brady is a start if you have him. I'm not a huge fan, but if you have him, you must love him. So you can start him. Godwin and Evans are obvious starts if you have them. You're going to start them. I'm fine with that. I think Evans comes back down to earth after last week. And I'm not the biggest fan of him anyway. No running backs, bench them both. I don't care if it's Fournette or Ronald Jones. That's kind of a hot mess of a backfield, and obviously no tight end because they never used a tight end. So I think Tampa's going to win this one. Next, Cowboys Seahawks. I will be watching this game. So Cowboys, pretty much you can start everybody on the Cowboys except Tony Pollard. I mean, screw it. Let's go. Have some fun. And that includes CeeDee Lamb. I mean, I don't like recommending rookie wide receivers, but Dak Prescott is going to throw and give a cookie to everybody. He reminds me of old school Drew Brees, actually. So start everybody except Tony Pollard on the Cowboys. Seahawks, Russell Wilson is going to cook, and so he is an auto cook. Tyler Lockett and DJ Metcalf are starts, like them both, and then Chris Carlson is a start as long as he's healthy. Everybody else, don't worry about it. They don't have the tight end game tied up yet. So next, Packers, New Orleans. Hopefully my Saints pull out a win in this one. The only people I'm playing for fantasy on the Packers is Aaron Jones. I don't want Aaron Rodgers. I don't want Devontae Adams. He's already been. And Alan Lazard and all those people. If they're in your conversation, you are desperate. You need to play them. On the New Orleans, I already said that Drew Brees was traded away in one of my leagues. He's on the bench. Otherwise, Tre'Quan Smith is a possible streamer if I'm desperate in deep league. Not Emmanuel Sanders. Wow, he really let me down last week. I lost the game because of him last week. So he is dropped in a lot of my leagues. Because I was super excited at him. You can't break my heart and not have consequences. So his ass got dropped. Alvin Kamara is an auto start. Cook is a streamer for this week. I don't like the Packers defense against tight ends, so he is a maybe streamer if you really need a tight end. He's tight end dependent though. He's touchdown dependent, so kind of beware of that. There's a lot of other options out there. I would go Drew Sample from Cincinnati before I go Joe Cook. Just put it like that. So Monday Night Football. You know how much I hate Monday Night Football because that's when magic happens. It's entertaining, and you always get your heart broken. All right. So here is my, rule on Monday Night Football. Unless it's an auto start, I'm not starting anybody. I will bench people left and right. So here are the auto starts for Kansas City versus Baltimore, this is going to be a great game. All right, Patrick Mahomes for Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Travis Kelce. You're obviously going to start them. You spent huge draft capital on them. They're just starting line up no matter what. The rest of them, I mean, why would you do that to yourself? Now, is it possible McCall Hardman just blows up and goes ham for 80 yards and 3 touchdowns? Of course. But that only happens on Monday Night Football. Baltimore, the other start is only Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews. I'm actually benching Hollywood Brown and Mark Ingram just because it's Monday Night Football and Kansas City has a good defense. And in the league that I'm benching Hollywood Brown, I have very, very good options. Like, he's getting benched for Terry McLaurin. I'm fine with that decision right there. It's Terry McLaurin and Deontay Johnson and Allen Robinson. So Hollywood Brown got benched. And then Mark Ingram. Now, I'm starting Mark Ingram in a couple of my leagues just because they're the ones that have got impacted by injury. But the other leagues where I have Austin Eckler and Nick Chubb, I have a wide receiver in the flex and Ingram on the bench in case something happens to him. So I am benching Mark Ingram and Hollywood Brown if possible to get, because I don't think their ceiling, I think their ceiling is nowhere near what it's supposed to be on Monday Night Football. So defensive streaming this week is going to be Los Angeles Chargers. I really like the matchup, and the obvious one is Indianapolis Colts. And if you were smart, you grabbed them and paid a little bit of fab money for them. They are going to score like 15 points. I swear to God. My kickers of the week are, I think it's Will Lutz. I think it's going to be a kicking game versus Green Bay Packers. The second one is a kicker I'm paying attention to is that Blankenship from Indianapolis. Like, I'm going to be watching him, and he's the sneaky streamer of the week. So, all right. Well, that's all I have. We ran long today, but that's okay. Enjoy hanging out with you guys. Remember, you may email me at thefantasytippler@gmail.com for all your league questions. And you can follow me at this_guy_drink on Twitter and Instagram. Look forward to seeing you guys next week. Have a good one. Cheers.